seatbelt on, turn down the fan. I think oh, that was a bad move. I was gonna clean that off yesterday and I was like, it'll melt. Did not melt. Clean the cars off in the backyard like always. Every time it snows I gotta go back there and clean it up, because if you don't clean the snow off your parked cars, you ain't driving, you ain't got a car cover that's slowly rashing the paint off the corners. Ice builds up, and as it melts and builds up, it gets behind your trim and little things here and there, and then it just all of a sudden you're like, hey, someone stole my trim. And then when all the snow melts, you're like, oh, there's my trim on the ground. I've had this incident before. Blah 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 blah. This guy likes to talk. Tell him to shut up and just drive the truck. That's what we're all here to see. I'm driving my truck. Gonna have to blur out the speedo again. Jesus Christ, you like to edit? So today, I don't know if anything awesome is gonna be happening. It's gonna be kind of a long haul. I don't know if we gotta move that rig. Cal Nash phoned again. We're moving the rig that we took up to kilometer 15 on the Annie Miller, and it looks like it's going back to Pierce area. So Crimson Lake, Sunchild, cut across Cynthia Lodgepole 16 backwards to, well, towards Edson, not really backwards, but to Pierce, and then down Pierce to that next secondary. I think it's at 748, which I think that's the one I didn't really read much past that. I was just like, oh, it's going a long ways. So whether it's gonna be a 2-day, 2-trip, or they got enough iron. There's a ton of trucks on the move, so fuck you. No one at the I fucking hate Red Deer for that. Oh, bunch of deer. Best be looking out, I got a ram here. You can watch those. They're pretty docile in town. They won't jump out in front of you. They're not all sketchy like the wild ones that are out in the fields. But anyways, we kind of got a long haul today. I'm hoping it's just one and done. But if it's not, well, then it's an overnight. And I'm slimed down just to take Matt. So I'm like, yawn, boring. But you know how that goes. Last time it was pipe, and it was other things on top of that. Literally going around like I just did takes longer than waiting. But if you get to this light and it's green, winning. But if you blow this and you failed to stop 3 demerits, losing. So anyways, I'm gonna go in early because I washed. What a nightmare. I washed and I spent probably 2 hours in the wash bay at first. I was like, yeah, the soap cannon's hot. I started lacing down the truck, no problem. Started doing got the whole one side of the truck and trailer coated in soap cannon. And it wasn't getting hot yet. Usually it gets hot enough where I can work with it, right? And it warms up the thin steel on the sides. Yes, the top of the trailer is so thick it stays cold in it. And I get Buddy. I'm like, hey buddy, I'm having some issues here. I'm like, isn't that soap cannon supposed to be hot? He's like, yeah. And I'm like, well, it's not. And he's like, okay. So he's farting around with that. It's cold out, so you can't see shit because their air exchangers aren't that great. So it's like a fog in there. You're pressure washing with hot water, and I'm washing the truck. And I can hear him fiddling with stuff and what he's doing. I'm like, well, I'm definitely not, if he doesn't get that fixed. I did the front half of the trailer that I could get to without spraying him in the face, and I was like, there's no way I want to do the rest of the trailer like this, because it's going to be hard to get off. And literally while he's doing his tests, his helper was like, well, don't spray it on the ground, let's coat the whole other side of his trailer for him. I didn't know this was going on because I was washing the truck and I can't see back there because it's all just a cloud. And then later he's like, okay, well, it's hot. It's not hot as it's supposed to be, but it's warm. I'm like, well, fuck, I almost just ran over a rabbit. I'm like, well, it's fine. I'm not going to spray the other side of the trailer. I'll just rinse it off, and I got to spray the other side of the truck, though, but it's fine on, like, you know, your fiberglass and all that stuff. He's like, oh, I already sprayed the other side for you. I'm like, I literally probably spent, it was bad because it's been in the snow lots, and it was all built up. I'm like, I should have put it in the shop, let it thaw out, then go to the car wash, but I'm like, I'm washing the truck, I might as well wash the trailer, and I want to wash the truck because I want to grease it. And it was dirt nasty from that, like, plus 10 day from VDM, so. Fuck, this is a lot of talking. So anyways, I washed, back to the shop, everybody parked like retards, all crooked and shitty in the wash bay. I'm like, dude, you can fit 3 trucks across the wash bay if you park properly. There's a pic of it. I'm like, I had to play, well, valet parker, I don't know what you call it, but I had to rearrange a bunch of shit. I told him, I'm like, I'm going to the car wash, and then I'll be hitting, going back, and I'm gonna grease. Not a single open spot. Okay, well, now I'm stuffing vehicles all over the place. Shop is full, it's an obstacle course. Getting pretty pissed at the obstacle course I gotta deal with every time I go to work. It's tiring. Because you can't, I'll show you when we get there. Maybe it's not cleaned up yet, but I'm like, dude, signal light, do you ever feel like you want to just pull over and just yell at somebody a lot? I'm like, why don't you drive so everybody else knows what you're doing? Don't signal as you're turning, and don't not signal. And just because you can't see and you got to drive, you're like, oh, this switch makes my headlights brighter. What's this blue light on the dash? I don't know, but I can see better. I'm like, dude, the rest of us, none of us can see, and you drive around with your high beams on. I could see even less. Those people don't know what blue light indicator means, and the rules of high beams isn't just, I'm going to drive around with my high beams on because I can't see. I'm like, well, none of us can see. Why doesn't everybody write a letter to the city and say, stop spraying the shit you're spraying on the roads, because when it's wet and dark, I can't see. You're like, oh, I'm saving more lives by keeping the ice off the road. I'm like, yeah, well, the rest of us can't see the moose standing in the middle of the road because it's so dark and wet. The pavement eats up the headlights. So then enforce, everybody's got illegal fog lights, driving lights, rigids, light bars, all sorts of stuff is just like the brightest HIDs in reflective housing. That's another person I would like to punch in the face a lot. I'm like, you can't put, it's illegal for starters. I'm with you. I'm like, I would do it too, but I'm just like, I'm not going to pay the hundreds of dollars for HIDs. And I know how annoying it is. Like this guy, high beams, you're a fucking idiot. I bought the projection style headlights for my truck to put HIDs in. I made a boo-boo and ordered headlights for my old style headlight buckets, which is a H4 or whatever, and these projection style ones that I got are completely different bulbs, like an H1. I'm like, fuck. I'm like, I finally got the bulbs and stuff. I was all pumped to put them in. I unbolted the headlight, pulled it out, and I was like, oh yeah. These are completely different headlight buckets. Damn it. I haven't ordered new ones. But the fog light ones I had are awesome. Well, they're not awesome. They're better. Just marginally better. Not blinding everyone. My buddy Ed Hudson's his pilot car. He bought the like speaker kind of brand LED fog lights, and holy shit, I'm like, man, I feel bad driving with these on. I'm like, I know exactly what this looks like, but they're like phenomenal. But he has regular reflective housing Gen 3 headlights in his Cummins, which you can't see shit, which is what I was at before I got these projection style, which is better, but I need to upgrade the bulbs. You're on the inside. That means I can go on the outside. What up, Civic? So that's a lot of talk. I hope my truck's still in the shop because I want to string out and grease my fifth wheel. I mean winch. I need to grease the wheel too, but alright, that's like half my video right there. Since it's going to be such a short content day, there. I just gave you guys a whole spiel. Stand by. Someone was nice enough to put the torque wrench in my truck, so at least I know I have the torque wrench. Do I have both ends? This is important. Got the big boy one. I made my own winter tires. I don't know if that shows up on the camera. I don't even know how that happened. Is that loose tire chains for long periods of time? Because I don't normally do stuff like that. Maybe I'll have to edit that out. I don't want people knowing that I roll around like that. Can't roll the roll, so it's hard to grease the roll properly, but I did grease it. I did not grease that. Oh well, we'll see how she acts today. I like how I wash the truck, put everything in the sleeper toolbox, like I don't need to do anything else. I roll up to the pump, can't get out of the truck. They brought the trailer in, I guess. I don't want to get too close to it. Which ones? The ones that I said. Okay, well that's good. Except for I don't want it. I don't like it being inside. Someone left some grease on the floor. Oops. Yeah, I totally sliced two of these tires on a mat or something that was buried in the snow. I was loading the other day with the Dog Hump 2400s, and the guy that I was with is like he's like, whoa, what's that? I'm like, got in there, I'm like, holy shit. I'm like, hopefully they last the day. So yeah. We'll have to retorque those. And I did complain about the ones on the truck, but I didn't get those replaced, so whatever, we'll just roll until they blow off. Whoa. Jimmy's taking the other truck? Looks like he's got a sticky brake. Does happen a lot. You come in here wet and you let thaw out, you have a sticky brake. Gotta lock the whole truck up and pop it free. But anyways, check oil here and do my other things. Frank's had a hard week. I knew he was gonna need a while. Neglected to do it twice because it was cold outside. Still full on coolant, that's good. You don't have an airlock. Can I help you? I hate Tulsa for this. But the rest of the time it seems to be a pretty good winch. It's gonna be hard to re-spool my line now that I got it all the way to one side of the trailer. NFG. That's pretty brutal error. And I was like, oh, well, at least it's just one. What the fuck? That's definitely not. What? This one just barely had a nick in it, so maybe they reversed it and put it on the inside. That's what I'm feeling. Alright, we better get going here. We're gonna be late. Plus I gotta stop and re-torque. it's already long over. It's way too long to make 2 trips in one day, and well, I definitely won't be making it home, but couldn't even get unloaded. It is like 4 hours each, one way. Is dumb, is gay, but it is what it is. It's all rainbowy. Especially, oh, well, I might have been able to just make it, but I'm gonna have to stop and get fuel. So that will make me not make it. And to get fuel, I have to go out of my way, like half an hour, 20 minutes. Not really, actually. It's like 10 minutes probably if we're on Highway 11, Crimson, into Rocky, right on the northwest, I guess that is west end of Rocky. There's a UFA. It's kind of really squishy, but it's probably only an extra 10, 20. Chain up, unchain. Yeah, we left there at 9:30. I pulled out of there at 1:30, so that was quick unloading. There was already a bunch of guys there unloading. I'm like, what time are you taking loads till 8? I'm like, he said 8, and I was like, hammer down. It's like, you're not gonna make it. I'm like, I'll decide. I'm like, no, I'm not gonna make it. Doing the math while I'm driving here. I'm like, no. It'll be like 9 o'clock by the time I get back there and get fuel. And that's if everything goes perfect, and I'd be able to drive pretty fast both ways without being stuck behind a loaded truck, tank truck, a slow driver, snowplow, school buses right away here. Yeah, not happening. Just stress out. I dialed back the speeding. Just gonna take it slow. Gonna make a day out of today. And we'll wake up, we'll have breakfast, like an hour, unload, drive home. Edson already phoned. And I was like, you calling me because I'm gonna be empty and close to you soon? It's like, no. It's just like, wondering where you at? Jimmy's got another job, be helping them tomorrow, 40 wheels, I think. So Jimmy's already, by the time I was getting on the cut across here, Cynthia, Lodgepole, Sunchild, he was already at Highway 11 on the other end of Sunchild, so he's hauling ass. He got a C-can, I got a 14 wide. And my truck drinks fuel. He's probably sipping. He's like, oh, that was a quarter tank. Look how juicy everything is. You can see nutting out the back. More to the side. Wet, cold. Or out the, well, it's not too bad now. Earlier I couldn't see anything out there. I was like, I have to do over the shoulder check to see if my lane's clear. Heaven's ready to take a second and actually wipe it off a little bit. This stuff does not wipe off. That's a little better. Oh, there's a truck behind me. I didn't even know it was there.